life is constantly changing. If you are currently working on something new or scaling existing projects to their next level, then you need to implement smart productivity strategies. In this episode, my guest Kay Phillips and I will be talking about the challenges of time management, the surprising concept of procrastination, and how energy management can transform the way you work. Kay also shares her journey from corporate life to business consulting, highlighting the power of authentic networking and communication. If you've ever struggled with self-sabotage or felt stuck in your comfort zone, this episode is for you. Stay tuned, take notes, and get inspired. Welcome to the Minute Mastery Podcast, a conversational productivity and time management podcast where busy authors and entrepreneurs are inspired to create time for what truly matters. I'm your host, Ngozi Edema. I'm a time management coach, writer, and entrepreneur. Here, you are encouraged to turn your minutes into milestones and to create at least 1 hour a day working on your goals without feeling overwhelmed. And since you are here, I thought I'd let you know of a storybook to gift your favorite kids. It is the story of Princess Sanzu, the Sunflower Princess, a princess loved by all, but who got into trouble. Within the pages of the Proud Sunflower, you will encounter what real beauty is. Your kid will love the beautiful story and powerful illustrations. Proud Sunflower serves as a gentle reminder that we need to stand on the shoulders of others to succeed. So, read this story with your little ones and allow the universal language of empathy, forgiveness, and personal growth to shine through. The Proud Sunflower is a top book on parenting, morals, and responsibility, and it is available in the Kindle store and paperback formats. Excellent for beginner readers. Click in the link in the show notes to order yours today. And check out my other storybooks to read with your child or gift a child a storybook. Kay Phillips is a business coach / consultant for solopreneurs and independent agents who want to build their vision board worthy business. She specializes in helping her clients identify the needle movers of their business and equip them with the tangible tools or tactics that they need to conquer their goals with grit and grace. She helps them commit to today, not someday, so they can live their dream life. I really like this part. We'll talk about that shortly. And she describes herself as anti-BS coach, business coach, ADHD-powered productivity pro, and the farmer of chaos. Interesting. How did you come about these titles?
A lot of it's just personal experience. So being one of the few females who was diagnosed back in the 90s with ADHD, but there was not a lot known about it. So I've kind of figured out from there, that's kind of where the anti-BS comes from a little bit too, is just cutting through a lot of the fluff and all of the misconceptions and like should do's or should work kind of things out there, and having to figure out how to be productive and manage myself as a business owner. And then also I have a small farm with chickens, cows, cats, dogs, and all that fun stuff. So there's always something going on. And my life has always been a little chaotic. Just with the ADHD, my inside head is chaotic, and now my outside matches that pretty well too.
Wow. I envy you working and living on a farm. I would
Yep.
say that kind of chaos anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty fun most of the time. Not so much when it's super cold out and snowing, but other than that, it's pretty great.
Wow. Okay, so you talk about sneaky time wasters that feel like work, but don't actually move the needle. I mean, coming from someone with ADHD, I would love to hear your perspective on this because Sometimes we all try to be doing something when we know it's not going to help us in any way, but we keep doing it anyway. So
Mhm.
what are these sneaky time wasters that feel like work?
Yeah. So those are something we all fall prey to, whether we're a business owner or not, but especially if we're a business owner, and whether people have ADD or ADHD or not. It's typically the creative, ambitious, kind of ooh shiny type people who end up being business owners because we're looking for a bigger challenge. And so we all fall prey to this pretty regularly. And I like to call it pre-crastination because a lot of times it feels like work, but it's not something that actually brings in clients or revenue or does anything tangible for your business, at least not in the short run. One of my personal favorite kind of guilty pleasures when it comes to the procrastination or like sneaky work that's not actually work is a real good YouTube rabbit hole learning how to do something in my business that I haven't done before, has not generated me any money. It's a long-term thing and it's not part of my core business model. So, for a year or two ago, it was starting a newsletter. And so I took a copywriting course and learned everything I could about copywriting from YouTube. And then it was about a year later when I actually started the newsletter because I went way too deep. I learned how to be a copywriter when I'm a coach, not a copywriter. So it's a good skill to have, but it definitely wasted the better part of a week with that particular rabbit hole.
Yeah, and it wasn't what you needed for your own particular business.
Mhm. Exactly.
Whoa. So help me understand, how do you become a business coach or consultant?
Yeah. So I a lot of times refer to myself as a coach consultant, and I got to be that person on accident. So about 7 years ago, coming up on 8 years ago now, actually, I was in my corporate job, had graduated with my degree and everything, and I started doing basically my corporate day job as a side hustle for other clients, so bookkeeping and fractional HR services. And I built and scaled that up to where that was full time. And I was also corporate full time, which is fun. I don't recommend that, but it's how a lot of people get started. And then I had other bookkeepers, other people in HR say, hey, I want to start my own business too. Some of them were looking to stay, just as a little extra income. Others were looking to build a full 100% like agency business. And they saw that I had done it. So they started asking me, hey, how'd you do it? Can you help me? And all of a sudden it dawned on me, you know what? It's a lot more fun helping people build their business than telling my clients, no, that's kind of fraud. That's going to get you audited. No, that's discrimination. You can't do that. So I started doing the coaching thing full time a little over 3 years ago now. And helping other people grow their business has been so much fun. Just helping them work through all the issues that I had to figure out on my own. They go so much further, so much faster. And the reason I say I'm a coach consultant and not a coach or or consultant is because of that background. So when my clients start making more money or they need to scale, they're looking at hiring somebody, I also have that knowledge to say, okay, I know you're an LLC, but you're kind of hitting that income mark now where we need to talk about an S Corp election. We need to talk about getting you an accountant to file your taxes because TurboTax you're kind of outgrowing and you don't want to miss out on those deductions or be getting charged more than you have to. Or here's what it actually looks like to hire somebody and everything that goes into it versus a contractor. Here's how to actually manage a team. So it brings kind of the best of both worlds together. And I've found there's a lot of coaches out there that haven't built a business outside of coaching before, which I think is kind of interesting and one of those things that my clients seem to draw a lot of wisdom from. Even if I think it's basic knowledge, it's not necessarily to them. But just having been through it with essentially two different businesses now has been very valuable for them and kind of a intangible way through those lessons.
Oh, impressive. You said that your coaching focuses on three key pillars: productivity hacks that work for real people, not robots; authentic networking strategies that feel meaningful instead of transactional; and communication skills that turn sales conversions into genuine connections. Now, we may not talk about everything, those three pillars and all of them, but I'm particular about the productivity apps that work for real people. What is that? What does that look like?
It looks different for everybody, which is why it can be really complicated for everybody to learn off of YouTube or a book or something like that, because whether you have, ADHD or not, nothing is the same for everybody. So you have to find what works for you. I know there's a lot of people out there that are, similar to me in the way that they have, about 5 planners a year, and they only get a couple months into each planner before they want to go get a new one. Or they've tried all of the tools. They've tried Notion, they've tried Asana, they've tried all the softwares out there, and they only last for a few months. And it's because they are trying to fit themselves into a system rather than manage their energy and their creativity. So it's a little bit time management. It's a lot more energy management. And since we all have different energy needs and energy drains, our productivity is going to always look a little different. And of course, that comes with shifting the mindset a little bit too. The constant need to be working. People have, through the school systems, kind of mistaken presence for productivity. So just because you're sitting, in front of your screen for 8 hours a day does not mean you're going to make money. Doesn't mean you're going to make more money if you sit in front of your screen for 10 hours a day. That'd be nice, but that's not quite how it works. And we're not taught how to be effective with our energy and therefore with our time. And that's something that I work with a lot of my clients on, is getting down to 4-6 hours a day maximum on average for their work, because they tend to make more money when they work less, because they're more focused when they are working and they're using their energy in a more, for lack of a better word, productive way.
So does that mean that when it comes to energy, one of my recent posts talked about energy dipping and peak at certain times of the day. So do you work with each person knowing when is their peak level, or when is the time when their energy level dips? Is that how you work? So you produce tailored strategy for each person, not like one size fits everybody.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We kind of start with their ideal week. So it starts from there, and then usually, like on a Google Calendar or something, like if you had all the clients you wanted, plot out everything from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Block your workout, letting the dogs out, block your client time, block your admin time, and how that looks throughout the entire week. And then I don't try to be mean, but I do kind of a mean thing. And I say, all right, that looks awesome. I love that for you. Hey, there's a really big networking event that they want you to be a speaker at. Rearrange your ideal week to accommodate this random awesome opportunity that just came up. And so they are able to fit it in. And what a lot of them do is they just fit it in and then expand their days. I'm like, all right, now knowing what you know about your energy, though, if they're an introvert, which surprisingly I am an introvert, but I've learned to turn it on when I need to. When I have big events, when I'm a speaker or something, a lot of my clients feel the same. The next day, they kind of have a people hangover. So their creativity's low, their energy's low. And so it's not just that event that you need to block in your calendar. You need to block the next day for some degree or for some set of hours to accommodate kind of that hangover. You're not going to be super creative, not want to talk, maybe that's more of a light admin day. Maybe it's just a full-on rest day. So learning how to accommodate those things that come up with your energy and also not feel guilty about it. So, cut out everything but the client work. Or can the client be pushed back a day? Are they okay with moving a meeting or a deliverable? And that way you learn in a controlled setting. So we're doing this in terms of, the fake ideal week that hasn't happened yet. But you learn how to adjust before those things actually come up. So you learn how to manage your own energy, your own time. And we go through the things that give you energy, the things that drain it, the things that light you up, and building in kind of extra blocks of time for you have nothing, and nothing is what's planned, and you're doing nothing on purpose. If you have a project you're super passionate about, or you need to really catch up on something that matters, you can use that time. But overall, it's really about finding what works for you and knowing how to adjust for life, because that ideal week is great. I've never had an ideal week that matches exactly with my calendar. There's always something that comes up that throws me off.
I think that's the same thing for most of us. I mean, I always make room for the surprises that can come during the week. You can never have the same identical weeks. I've never had one. I've never had one. So things change every week, even on a daily basis. And in terms of what you've just described, does it matter if I'm a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, definitely. Because that's going to define how you build your ideal week and kind of the order you do things in. So typically when people kind of first wake up and get going, they're more creative. And they might not wake up and get going till 10 a.m., whereas others might be like 5 a.m. Like I have a realtor client. He might be out showing homes until 7, 8 o'clock at night. Then he comes home and he's got another couple hours of work to do. He might not be in bed till midnight. And he doesn't start showing homes till maybe noon the next day. So for him, between 10 to noon is his morning where he gets started. And then you have other people, like me, I get up usually somewhere between 5 and 6, depending on what I have going on. And that's my quiet time. Other people, it doesn't matter what time it is. They just have to be kind of in their own creative zone before they talk to people. And then there's those extroverts who are really creative and really energized after a networking meeting. They don't need to take time to decompress and have that people hangover. They get really energized and want to do a bunch of things after they go talk to a bunch of people. So it very much depends on when do you feel like you're starting and ending your day, and also what lights you up versus what's going to drain a percentage of your battery.
Interesting. So I have been stuck several times in my life, and I feel that when you're stuck, you waste time. I mean, I'm also a writer. When you're stuck and you're not getting any ideas, you can't move forward. So what do you see the most that keeps people stuck?
Themselves.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's 100% themselves. And I've run into it as well. I know better. I know what to do. I know how to work through it. Does not mean that I still don't fall into that trap of going back to old habits. I have phases where, I'm like, oh, I need some more clients. I haven't been networking and filling my pipeline very consistently lately, even though I know better. Maybe it's because I was sick or I launched a new product, something like that. And I just kind of got out of my routine. And instead of going back to the routine that filled the pipeline in the first place, that's usually when I'll fall into a pre-crastination thing and try something completely different and unproven. I know better, but that's just kind of how people seem to operate, is we always go back and kind of don't do the thing we know works, because on some level, we know it works, we know it'll get us where we want, but that also means for some people, especially in the early days or the growth stages of business, an identity shift. You want to be the successful person. You want to, only work a couple hours a day and have a team handle all the stuff that you don't want to do. But it goes so much deeper into your entire identity. It's kind of one of those, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten.
Yeah.
And even though you're not 100% comfortable with it, it is your comfort zone because this is all you know. Even if the next kind of level up zone is going to be arguably better and more comfortable, we prefer the known and, kind of pluses and minuses versus the unknown. Even if the unknown is better, that's the biggest minus. So we will try to keep ourselves subconsciously very stuck where we're at now.
So how do you help people to get out of that?
Usually it's in the form of a challenge, depending on what it is that they're trying to accomplish. 7 out of 10 times they want more clients, want more revenue. They want to scale. They want to get bigger. It's some version of growth, basically. And for a lot of people, especially like solopreneurs, it will look like go for no kind of challenge. And so you're going to just call people, reach out to people, network with people, however they choose to do it. I want you to have, like a 1-to-1, and towards, the middle to end of that, I want you to make the ask for business, which is, you open yourself up to rejection. Like, end of story, you have to ask them a question, do they want your services? Yes or no. And your goal is to get, 20 people, 10 people, whatever it is for that client. You want that many people to tell you no. And until you get that many people to tell you no, you keep talking, you keep calling, you keep reaching out. And that does a couple of things. It gets people comfortable with the fear of rejection, because all of a sudden, like, okay, a bunch of people said no, but there's way more people to talk to, so I'm not too worried about it. And most times I do this with my clients, they end up getting clients from it. They don't get as many no's as they think. It's a lot harder to get all those no's. I had one realtor client do it. I think he got to 10 or 15 people before he said, hey, I have to stop. I can't get to 20 because I have 3 new clients. I literally could not handle one more person telling me yes. So I failed the challenge, but I have 3 new clients. A lot of people work through. I do it for myself when I feel like I'm in a slump, is to really just remember to make the ask and know that it's not a big deal. Same thing for social media. People are scared to post on social media. What if people say something in the comments? Oh, it sucks. Oh, it's not pretty. I can't edit to save my life. Whatever. I want you to post every day for the next week. And you're going to post a reel and you're going to post a story. Like, whatever the challenge is, that's completely doable. In the grand scheme of things, it'll take you less than 10 minutes. But it feels so insurmountable until you do it a few times.
So it's like facing the challenge head on.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of almost an exposure therapy. When a client tells me, they don't want to do something, or they're apprehensive, they really want to, but they really don't want to. And you either take it completely off the plate, like social media. Like, it's either no longer a priority for you, or you're going to get comfortable with it today. Which is it? And then we're going to go hard for it. With, obviously, like, frameworks and support. I don't just shove people out of the nest and say, figure it out. Here's your challenge, don't fail. We go through different frameworks and tactics to give them a place to start, give them a place of confidence.
Thank you. So where can people reach you, and what services do you offer?
Yeah. Probably the best place is on my Instagram. It's just at the Kay Phillips. Nice and simple. And I do a lot on there for free content, free tips and tricks. But also there's links in there for like past workshops and things that people might find helpful. And there's also a place to apply for coaching for 2 different options. One being a group coaching, like a mastermind, and then the other being private coaching 1-to-1. And it depends on what people are looking for. Some people just want to kind of try out coaching and, kind of dip their toe a little bit, or they're really pretty good. They just need a little bit of accountability. That's where the mastermind comes in, since it's obviously a much lower cost being in a group. There are always 10 or less people though, so it's still pretty personable and very actionable. And then the one-to-one is much more intensive. So that's for people who really want to make big changes and do it inside of 3 months. Usually their business can look completely different by the end of our time together.
Thank you very much for coming to the Minute Master. We all love our comfort zone. It's familiar, it's safe, it's predictable. But real growth happens when you step outside of your comfort zone, challenge yourself, and take intentional action. As Kay shared in this episode, success isn't about doing more, but it's about focusing on what truly moves the needle. So, today, take one small step outside your comfort zone, whether it's improving your time management, networking authentically, or tackling that task you've been avoiding for weeks and months. And remember to check out my books and the links in this episode webpage for more resources to help you move the needle. Your future starts with the choices you make today. And thank you very much for tuning into the Minute Mastery Podcast. If you have found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who could use more time in their day. And remember to subscribe and leave us a review. Until next time, remember, you are in control of your time and you've got this.